I wanted to bring you along tonight on this 2008 Ford Sport Trac that was brought to me in order to check for a noise when engaging in the 4 high or 4 low. The customer said that they are not able to truly identify what is making the noise when driving in those two positions. He did tell me that they did replace the rear drive shaft and the noise is still there. So he just wanted me to take a look at it, see if I can better tell them where the noise is coming from. In the way that I usually approach these, I will typically set up the microphones with the scope and place them in different areas and try to pinpoint where a particular noise is coming from. So this is how I'm going to go about doing it on this one, and I will show you where I am connected. So for right now, obviously you see I've got 3 leads, and where and what I'm wanting to look at is basically, since I am going to be dealing with Driveline, I've got the middle in the transfer case, the front in the front differential, and the back lead is in the rear differential. In those 3 areas, I want to see if I can pick up a particular noise for whatever they are talking about and see if it comes up on the scope. Now, I have not driven it yet. I had it up on the lift just to do a visual inspection. I didn't see anything crazy other than the new drive shaft. So I took the opportunity to set up the mics before going out on a test drive and listening for the noise. So just to get you a better clear visualization as far as where I'm connected, there is the front differential, and of course you want to secure your leads out of the way, and there is the transfer case connected, and there is the microphone on the rear differential. So there I am connected to the scope. The blue channel is going to be in the front, red's going to be in the middle, and green's going to be in the rear. Okay, so the first thing that I'll do is drive it just in the regular mode without any of the 4 high or 4 low, and try to get some sort of baseline. And again, I've not heard the noise yet, so we will see what it does. So right now driving looks like the bottom green, which is the rear diff, is creating the higher amplitude. But here in the cabin or even outside, nothing sounds abnormal as I'm driving. So for now, I'm just keeping that in the back of my mind. As far as the green trace, it is higher, but nothing sounds abnormal, so that could be just what the standard baseline of the amplitude of the rear diff will be. So again, we're going straight, about 40 miles an hour, holding it steady, and now we'll let off. So now I will go to 4 low. And you can't focus, but the 4 low light is on. Okay, I will take off now. It's the first time, as far as for me, even driving it in 4 low. Right away I can hear some whining. Not sure if you can pick that up on the camera. Let me accelerate again. And there I'm at 25 miles an hour. You clearly see the red channel, which is a transfer case, having a crazy amount of amplitude there. I'm letting off, coasting. Coming to a stop. Okay, so I'll do one more time and 4 low. So clearly, again, transfer case. Now I will switch to 4 high, and on the dash it's a different indicator, which that shows, I guess, you're in 4 high, and see what this noise is like. Alright, now we're in 4 high, taking off. I'm not hearing much noise here in the cabin. A little bit of whining there on the coasting. Not much of a noise until I let off and start coasting. Again, I'll let off and coast. Go about 40 miles an hour in 4 high, steady, and I'll let off to coast. I don't know if you can pick that up in the cabin. But it seems to whine on coasting when in 4 high, not so much when accelerating. Okay, so here in the beginning of the ride, as you can tell, 5 out of 15, that was where we heard or saw higher amplitude be kind of consistent with the speed on the rear differential, but nothing was audibly heard. And what I will do is, just for a visual, I've got those marked out for the the peaks of the amplitude, since we know that was at about 40-ish miles an hour, kind of a consistent baseline of it being a known good. And again, this was another long stretch where we held a steady speed, and the amplitudes are still about the same. And again, that is with no abnormal audible noise here in the cabin or outside. And now when we switched to the 4 low and started to take off, clearly you can see the higher amplitude in the transfer case, and this was still not at the high peaks because of our speed was still low. And here we can tell we were getting close to that range of speed, since we know that produces that amplitude at that speed in the rear. And obviously the faster we were going here, the higher and louder the transfer case got. And this whole time, front diff is basically staying quiet or normal or behaving. Again, another section where we reach about that same speed, and again, crazy loud in the transfer case, still in 4 low. And now this was 4 high, where if you can tell the pattern, obviously we know we start to speed up here because our amplitude starts to increase with speed till we get to that point. In 4 high, the way that the transfer case is acting or making the noise, as we can see, we've gone up to this point and still nothing too bad as far as whining or noise, until we let off and coasted. That's when the transfer case started to whine, when it was kind of not being resisted, but just again like let off of acceleration and it had to coast. That's when it started making noise in 4 high. Again, we slowed down and we sped up again for a while. I held it longer. You could tell I actually got a little bit faster because I went out of that range. You can tell from there to there. So I went a longer distance, and it still, yes, it increased there, but not to the crazy point of where it was in 4 low. But then let off to coast, and then again just boom, it starts to get loud and whine. And that one actually must have transferred the noise up to the front, because you can see that build up there. It built up there as well somewhat, but I guess obviously higher amplitudes, it's going to transfer over to there. But we know this guy is good from the previous runs. It didn't make any amplitude change. It is being affected now by this guy, the transfer case. And again, one last shot of 4 high, driving and coasting and so on and so forth. Same deal there. Just wanted to get you a shot of the new rear drive shaft that was installed and made no change in noise. So there you go, guys. Pretty straightforward diagnosis. This is the way that I like to approach any type of noise, some driveline noise, engine noise, suspension noise, whichever type of noise. I like to just use the scope because I can connect multiple channels with the microphones at one time simultaneously, and I don't have to worry about trying to be on a particular channel of the microphone while trying to pick up a noise and maybe missing it. Again, this is very helpful. It's all right there captured on the scope. You can always go back to it and analyze the basically amplitude noise that you end up capturing on the waveform. Pretty apparent where the noise on this one's coming from. It is going to be the transfer case. Let the customer know that that's what he will need to replace, and it's going to be pretty undeniable that that's going to be the true root cause. So this is a good way to avoid any issues and spending money where you don't have to in parts that you won't need, and throwing your hands up and saying you don't know. Just simple connections, set up your scope, go for a drive, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed it, picked something up from this. Again, as always, thank you for watching, and that's it for this one. Until the next one.